smash those like and subscribe buttons for more content. Thank you. First of the new season here, so going to talk about the NFC East, but you can't call them that if they've got the Super Bowl runner-ups, right? So,
considering they're the strongest division in football, that's true.
Yeah, I think the West was pretty good too. The bottom was higher. The ceiling might not be as high. Of course, then again, if the 49ers could have, like, once you go through, 5 quarterbacks, like, you're like, come on, man. Okay. So, who
Did you
wants
say
to
the
start
NFC West was hot? Or AFC West?
The NFC.
Anyways. Really? Little Peoples and the Rams, you saying they were hot? No.
Well, the Rams won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So, I mean, yes, they fell apart, but you know what I'm saying? All right. I am not able to keep this thing maximized for a second. All right, so why don't one of you start off with your... So the goal for today is to get the teams and the predictions that we're going to do for the season, barring catastrophic injury like Lamar Jackson has every year.
What team do you all want to start
catastrophic with? If he has it every year?
I don't know.
Well, catastrophic or not, he got himself a big...
Yeah,
contract.
he did. He got a big pay. So again, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about... Just go through your picks for the go for your picks. I would start at the top and then work your way down to the bottom. Give your record you think you're going to get on that team, why you think you're going to get it, and any fantasy relevance for the upcoming season. That's the goals. And then we can have any stories we want to talk about, including like where's DeAndre Hopkins going to land.
All right, so we're going to start on one team and go from there, all of us?
I would start with your top team. We'll start with your top team, work your way down to the bottom. So.
Starting with who?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. So we're going to start off with the top team that I think has the best win-loss record, correct?
Sure.
Just so I understand what we're doing here. Is that what you meant? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, for me, in the NFC East, I think Philly's going to come out on top. I think they only got better in the draft. They're going to come out with a 13-4 record. I think they got to count two of their losses again. Probably one of them will come to the Cowboys, and the other three, I'd have to look at their schedule again to break it down. But I think Philly comes out on top of the 13-4 record in the NFC East. The draft only made them stronger, to be honest. I know you asked me earlier, we were chatting, you said they're gimmicky offense. Man, I think what they drafted in the draft only helps that. It's a college ball type offense that they're running, and they went and picked up a lot of nice college athletes. Strike, the other day you asked me about Bulldogs. They picked up a lot of Georgia Bulldogs. That's why I said that.
Yeah, they're Georgia Part 2, I think, is how we're describing them now.
Correct. For me, Philly is the top NFC East team with a 13-4 record.
All right, so let's go over. So basically, they got Super Bowl runner-ups. They lost Gardner Johnson. They lost their running back, but replaced him. They lost a guard, a backup quarterback. Nothing in there there was nothing terrible, nothing like, oh wow, you've lost a key cog. Then they managed to get the 9th pick in the draft, the 30th pick in the draft, the 65th, which they used on line, right? They got defensive line on the first 2 picks and then offensive line on the third. They picked up a running back in the 3rd round. Probably no one else is going to impact. So looking at their depth chart, it looks like it's going to be Hurts, Brown, Smith, the Falcons' former wide receiver Zacharias, Dallas Goedert, and the Lions running back DeAndre Swift. Their line was probably top 5. Defense solid B+, or B-.
I think some of their pickups were upgrades, especially at running back. I think they upgraded big time.
Saying not getting worse, right? There's no one they lost that they didn't either get someone better or draft someone better, right?
Correct. That team in itself is just, again, draft wise and free agency wise, only got stronger in my opinion.
Yes.
I think they'll be a contender for an NFC Championship game again.
All right.
Thus the 13-4 record.
13-4 for the Ripper and that's your top team.
Correct. For me, Philly is the top team in NFC East. And yes, I'm a Cowboys fan, but it is what it is.
So my thing is, I looked at their schedule, man. So I believe the last year's Eagles was not as good as their record, and we said that a lot of times, and yet they kept winning and getting through. And I think it was more your schedule was weak, and you started buying into the hype, and you played better and out of your minds. Their style of play is a little weird. Because let's face it, if you're going on 4th down and you know you can get 4th and 2 every single time, that makes the play calling a lot more simple, right? You can go first and 3 yards. You can go 2nd and 3 yards. You can get 3rd and 3 yards and not care because you're getting 4th down. And I was a little surprised the NFL didn't, because to me it's like the olden days where you're literally throwing the quarterback over the line.
It's the veer or the
exactly.
The back.
So, to me, this was not. You looked at the Chiefs and you see explosiveness, even though they don't really have premier wideouts. You looked at the Eagles and you kind of saw, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and a great defense that complemented it. So I looked at their schedule and I think there's going to be teams that can stop that. Now, they couldn't do it last year, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're going to take a notch down. I have them 11-6 just because, again, they've got a really tough schedule. I think overall the offense is better. The defense is definitely better, but Hurts is the same. And I think if throw out that 4th and 2 running play that no one can stop, if you make Hurts beat you out of the pocket, I don't think he can. So that's the record I have, 11-6 for them. Second place.
Yeah, I went 11-6 too for Philly, but I actually could see them 10-7, and the reason is because they didn't have injuries in 22. That 22 injury thing for them was huge. They were the 3rd best team in terms of value relative to keeping their top players on the field. And the only 2 better teams were Buffalo and San Francisco, if you can believe that.
Except for a quarterback.
Yeah, except for a quarterback.
Where all their luck was exhausted there.
Which is scary when you think about it from San Francisco's point of view, because they lost 2 quarterbacks in the process there. Really 3 by the time they hit the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think Philly can stay that healthy this year. I mean, I love the Rashad Penny signing. I absolutely love it. Think it's a great deal. Think he's a talented back, but that kid cannot stay healthy. And I don't think Carter is going to be as good as people think he is. I think there's going to be an off-the-field issue that shows up. I mean, Seattle looked at him hard at 5 and saw Malik McDowell part 2 all over him. So I think Philly's going to be good. And I think if they can stay healthy,
those guys, you just never know how they're going to,
True.
We heard, the Cowboys are famous for doing that, right? They've gotten people that were both that did become head cases, and then they had people that did not, and everybody was like, oh, we can't get that guy. And then they famously passed on Moss. So
I don't think that Philly's really putting a lot of stock into Penny. Yeah, they brought him in, but they also brought in DeAndre Swift, and I think DeAndre Swift is going to be your workhorse, right? For me, in general, when you look at their schedule, the hardest weeks that they're going to have are 9 through, I want to say 14 or something like that. When they get the Cowboys, let me put it up real quick. They get the Cowboys, they get Kansas City, they get Buffalo, San Fran, and the Cowboys again.
That is a murderer's row right there. When I looked at that, I'm like, and it's all in a row, and I'm like, damn.
But it's 5 games. It's 5 games, right?
Yeah.
It's Cowboys, bye, and then 4 more. I think that's where they're going to pick up their 4 losses. 1 to the Cowboys, and if their possible losses are Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco. That's where their 4 losses come from me. The rest of the schedule, to me, is to what Philly has and how they played last year. To me, it's light work. So I don't see the Jets doing much.
Yeah, I had them with actually losing all 5. So I don't think they're better than the Cowboys. I think they'll lose all 5 of those games, and I think they're just going to lose a Oh heck, there's everybody does it. They lay an egg on a game.
Well, being a Cowboys fan, I sure the fuck hope so. I'm sorry. I sure hope so. I sure hope they lose both of the Cowboys, but I don't see it. I think Philly and Cowboys split every year. That NFC East matchup, it isn't a sweep one way or another. I think that both those games will be tough for them, but I think they'll go 1-1 on those games. The games that are really going to be hard for them again is the Kansas City, the Buffalo, San Francisco. I think that's where they're going to get their 4 losses. And other than that, everything else on their schedule to me is honestly light work. They ain't losing to the Giants or the Cardinals. I can tell you that much. They're definitely not losing to the Jets. I think everybody's putting too much emphasis on the Jets. The Commanders are has-beens. Tampa Bay
or never had, right? They get a rookie
Well,
quarterback, so yeah.
Tampa Bay is in a quarterback shuffle right now. The Rams aren't even any better. I don't see who else. And the Dolphins maybe gives them a game, but I don't see it.
I see Vikings, Dolphins, and Viking, Dolphins, and Hawks. One of those teams takes one.
I just, you know what, man? Look at the Vikings. They're off again, on again kind of teams, right? They had their good season last year. This is the upcoming season for them to have a bad season. I don't see it. That's me, though, right? We all have our opinions. I just don't see it. I don't see this schedule saying, with what they picked up and what they upgraded on, I think Philly just got stronger, in my opinion.
And I think they're stronger, but I think this is a quarterback-driven league. They don't have the quarterback, right? They've got a running back who can throw. That's what they have. And it worked for them. And their offense is tailor-made to this college type ball, right? Yeah, I don't think it makes it the second year. It's a copycat league. Everyone's going to look at the film. Everyone's going to figure out how to stop it. And the good teams like the Niners are going to be able to do it. So that's my thoughts.
I guess we'll see.
So I don't have Hurts as fantasy impact, although he runs a lot, but I think he doesn't pass enough. So at some point, when you run enough touchdowns in, it doesn't matter if you've passed. So I've got him as a borderline, like a QB2, if anything. Definitely both their starting wide receivers, they're must-haves. The tight end's a must-have, and I think Swift is going to have a great year. That's my take. The defense is going to get drafted. So
as far as fantasy relevance on Hurts, so think about it. Most fantasy leagues, you go 20 yards or maybe 25 yards per point for a quarterback. I mean, what would you rather have? Well, some quarterbacks, right? You have the phenomenal quarterbacks to give you 50 points.
Yeah, I want Mahomes, and you want the Buffalo Josh Allen.
Yeah, but
he wants Dak. Let's not kid ourselves.
If Hurts is putting up 3 touchdowns, and 120 yards running, I'll take the 3 running back set. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I understand what you're saying, but he doesn't. He pales to like a Mahomes. Point wise, it wasn't close, right?
Fantasy relevance, I ain't picking up Jalen Hurts either, nor Dak. Still, I don't know when the last time is I picked up Dak Prescott, but
the year 1 when he was a 16th round pick,
maybe. But I mean, I still believe they'll go 11-4 based on record, fantasy relevance or not. I mean, they've got great receivers. I know you say Jalen Hurts can't throw them, but he doesn't have to throw deep down, man. You can small ball the way he's running. If you've got everybody worried about him running, if everybody's worried about him running, your linebackers are biting in. Somebody's open in the middle.
Yeah, those are 1,000-yard receivers. I mean, I just I think he's, that they're run first, run second, throw to keep them all balanced. That's what they do.
Yeah.
If he's sitting back throwing the ball 40 times a game, they're not going to have a good day.
I'm going to stick to my 11-4 or 13-4. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I think we've talked out the Eagles. So we have. Oh, we know the records.
I think Cowboys are all of our second, or some first, some seconds, right? So.
Yeah. So the next up is the Dallas Cowboys. So let's go over who they got real quick, and then we can talk about it. So you got the ghost of Brandon Cooks. Not really going to help. You got Stephen Gilmore, who's got a few miles on him, right? You got safety Wilson. You got Vander Esch, Dante Fowler Jr., who's decent edge rusher if he's next to Aaron Donald. You got a defensive lineman, Hankins. You lost Elliott, no real loss there. McGovern, Schultz, all your tight ends. So you drafted a defensive end, a tight end, Shoemaker, another linebacker, defensive end, tackle in the fifth. Don't really care past that. Depth charts: Prescott, Lamb, Gallup, Cooks, Shoemaker probably going to be in there. Although I think it has Faint right now as the depth chart, and then Pollard. The line, a very good line, although it's kind of in transition. So B plus. Defense was an A. So I had him at 13-4, and reason is looking at the schedule. You guys don't have the Phillies first place schedule. You have the second place schedule, and it's really, it doesn't look like you have a lot of people that you can't out-bully on defense and offense. You're a solid team. Is Dakota? Absolutely. But I think you guys have I mean, I was like, how, like, it was hard for me to get you guys 4 losses. Like, I was like, well, shit, they should be favored in these games. So I think it's 13-4. I could see 12. I could see 12-5. But you guys, barring massive waves of injuries, you guys are the schedule better than the teams you're playing. So that's why I put you as what I put you as.
12. All right, you have us 13-4.
Yeah, can't even read my own writing. 13-4.
Well, I'm a Cowboy fan, and we all know that. But I'm going to give you the biggest shocker for this season for the Cowboys, and it's going to be their running game. Pollard's coming off a broken leg, right? He says he feels good and all this, but broken leg is a broken leg is a broken leg. How he comes off and how he plays in the game, we'll see. We picked up Deuce Vaughn. Look, good running back out of Kansas, great, whatever. But was that more of a sentimental pick for the scout or whatnot? I see him. I think he's undersized. I don't think he's the next. What was his name? The little one. You had him with the Jaguars. What was your running back's name?
Oh, Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yeah,
there's only one of those guys. Yeah.
I don't see it. I think we're going to suffer at the running game a little bit. Tony Pollard's not your every down back, and we'll see. And coming off with a broken leg, a little concern for me on the running game for our Cowboys. Dak Prescott, again, you said it, is Dak Prescott. The last 3 years has been, to me, I think he's always been the problem. I don't think he's like a fine wine that's going to get better with time. I don't see it, but maybe, right? I mean, they keep putting supporting casts around him. Did they do a good job of putting offensive supporting cast? No, I don't think they did. I think the Deuce Vaughn pickup, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope he's the next Barry Sanders. I don't see it. Shoemaker, whatever. Like I told you earlier, Cowboys have always done well with big white boy tight ends, and this may make a difference. We'll see. Yet to be seen. I'm not sold on them yet, but then again, whoever heard about the other guys, Schultz and all that, when they got that guy, nobody knew who Schultz was till he came out of nowhere, right? So the Cowboys have a knack for picking up.
Yeah, no one knew Travis Kelce when he got drafted, and now look at him. So
correct.
Also,
our O line is aging. If you look at it, come on, Tyron Smith always has problems. Tyler Smith is a little younger. Bidaz, I'm not sure. Zach Martin and Tyron Smith is the two. I'm not sure how many Bidaz has been in 4 years.
Well, you're going through. You're churning it, right? It was a great line. It got aged. It got hurt. You got expensive. So you've got in bit pieces, but it's a solid line. It's not it's not the one that used to just own everybody, but it's still good. And also thanks for the follow.
What
there.
happens?
Sorry.
What happens when Smith gets hurt? Right, Tyron Smith. Who do we have behind him? Look at the two guys behind him in the depth chart. I don't know who those guys are whatsoever. Right?
Yeah. And the question there, I mean, tackles are harder, right? Because if you lose tackles, you know how it is. That's the spot you can get in a hurry. So, yes.
The edge.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point, though. They didn't add anything that tells me, oh, wow, we really addressed a whole bunch of stuff on the offense and we're going to look great and all that. No, they addressed the defensive side. Now, again, defense wins championships. I 100% agree. I think our defense is still going to be very stellar. But I don't think that Dak and company are going to put up as many points that people are expecting. I don't think they're going to suck. Don't get me wrong. The defense is going to keep them in every game, and they're going to win games. But I do have them losing 5 games for a reason. And if you look at the schedule, it's easy to see which 5 games they might lose. One of them being week 2 against the Jets because he owns them, right? Oh, my God. I'm blanking out. Green Bay
Rodgers.
Rogers. Holy
Rogers.
smokes. And that's not even dropped the gummy. Rogers owns the Cowboys, bro. He has every year. And with the Jets, I think he has better weapons than he do. Well, some of the same, right? But I do believe they'll lose against the Jets and a few other games there that they'll lose, 2 against Philly. So I'm hoping not. I think it'll be 1-1 against Philly, but I do have the Cowboys at 12-5. I don't think they addressed anything special.
Which in your world is second.
Correct.
Yeah.
Still in the playoffs, don't get me wrong, but they didn't address anything. Even defensively, if you look at what they picked up defensively, I'm not like, oh my God, this team looks great. They're going to do great. I'm not sold on the team, man. I don't think our draft was that great as everyone else thinks. I'm not big on the Deuce Vaughn pick, but we'll see. I'm not big on the tight end pick. We'll see. I think they should have addressed more offensive linemen than they did. Defensive wise, I think they made it a little bit strong. Mozzie Smith is an athlete, and I think he'll plug up the middle. But let me ask y'all something. How many times do you see the Cowboys use a nose tackle?
Use a what?
Nose tackle.
I mean,
how many times do you see the Cowboys going to 5-man front?
Not very often.
Correct. So
but you didn't need to either.
Correct, well, but Mozzie Smith is a nose tackle by nature, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he can play on a 4-man front, but his biggest strength is owning centers, and I don't think that they'll go into a 5-man front enough for that, right?
Well, and his biggest strength is stopping the run, which the NFL right now is not a run-first game.
Except for the defending NFC East champs.
Well, but that's run first from the quarterback, not
Correct.
Run first from the running back.
Different ball game running from your quarterback than is run from
your but I tell you, the worst thing in the world is having that pocket implode from the middle.
No, it really isn't. I look, as a coach, my quarterback is tall, fast, and he will read that pretty well, and he'll hit the outsides. He can run, he can move. In other words, he's got wheels.
Well, yeah.
If that pocket implodes from the middle, he's got wheels. He's rolling out, and he's throwing from that rollout, or he's taking off with the ball. I don't know. I just don't see that as an address on the defensive side for Cowboys as let's go get a nose tackle because that's what we're missing. I just don't think they addressed enough.
I know those big guys, tackles and nose tackles and defensive ends. Those big athletic dudes are few and far between. And when you get them, no one ever goes, oh wow, we had this great tackle. But having a Gilbert Brown or having Vince Wilfork, like those superstars, or Warren Sapp. Those guys made differences, right? And made the entire team better. So I never get upset when someone solidifies a line. I know it's not the sexy pick, but it's still a good pick.
The pick I liked they picked up was actually the linebacker from Texas.
Overshown from Texas.
Yeah, I think he's going to be explosive, to be honest. Obviously, I follow Texas football, so watching him play, I honestly think you're really looking at a linebacker there paired up with Jesus, dude, I'm bad at names today, bro.
Jalen,
yeah. Paired up there, man.
I mean, you've already got like the linebacker, right? So, like, yeah.
Well, if he plays linebacker, because now all the talk is about him playing a lot more end. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think that combination could be dominating. And I'm hoping for it, right? That's what we're all hoping for. I think defensively, yes, okay. They're still going to be great. But offensively, I don't think we added much. We added, what's-his-face from Houston, Cooks, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm really, really spacing out today. But anyways, we added Cooks. And, hey, let's go. We need something fast. Yeah, let me go buy you an Acura. Not going to cut it, right? Like,
yeah, I am not impressed with the Cooks pick at all. But you don't, like, you can say you bought an Acura, but you got him next to a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, right? So maybe it's not that bad. Like, you're like, oh, no one covered the Acura. Like...
But if you really look at our receiving core, who do we have, right? We have CeeDee Lamb, don't get me wrong. Hands down, Ferrari. But other than him, who? Turpin, Tolbert?
Well, it's Gallup, right? That's the two.
Gallup isn't... to me, Gallup is like...
you got two Acuras and a Ferrari?
No, maybe a Ferrari, an Acura, and then like maybe a BMW.
Well, and you don't know. You've still got $10 million, 2 months, Jerry Jones. I don't know. Maybe you lure a Hopkins down there. and then it's a whole different ball game.
Honestly, that would be a great pickup for the Cowboys, and I would hope for it.
Yep.
But we'll see. I honestly right now think we need to address two things: running back and receiver. I'm not sold. I love Pollard. I think he was explosive, but I think Zeke made a difference on why Pollard was so good.
Well, and
So,
I don't think that they're going to break camp without a second running back of some sort. I mean, but those, like we talked, the days of the running back,
Cooks.
the days of the running back being, I mean, maybe another one, maybe him. I mean, they're going to find a compliment. It's going to be a committee. It's not going to be Pollard.
I mean, they signed Ronald Jones Jr. for sake.
Back
I
to
mean,
the
I'm just-
Hey, Maurice
extra-
Jones-Drew is available too. I see him on the ESPN. So,
Right.
but they'll get
Now,
some. My point is they won't just have one running back coming up. I mean, I don't think so. There's a lot of time for them to get another back, and backs are way undervalued right now. Right? You can get a back just about anywhere, except for McCaffrey.
You gotta let Malik Davis loose, what you have to do, in my opinion. But
So I have them at 12-5 too, but I could easily see them being 10 and whatever it is, 10-7, 9-8. You fired Kellen Moore. I mean, you want to talk about one of the worst things you could do is you fired Kellen Moore and you hired Brian Schottenheimer, for God's sakes.
we went from shitty to shittier.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Schottenheimer ran Russell Wilson into the ground before Russell Wilson can run himself into the ground in Seattle. So the best thing that happened in Seattle and Geno Smith is why he is because Brian Schottenheimer got fired. You're not gonna get a good passing offense out of Schottenheimer. He's a run first coach. So I mean, I could see the Cowboys not doing well this year because they aren't prepared to shift to high pace offense when they need to.
Well, the one thing I did see and I liked, and if you think about some of the best running games for the Cowboys, like the Emmitt Smith and all that, what did Emmitt Smith have? Do you know why Emmitt Smith was great?
His
Moose.
offensive line was huge.
That too, but he had Moose Johnson.
Yeah.
Johnson made a lot of blocks. The Cowboys did pick up a fullback, and that, to me, to draft a fullback was kind of whoa, okay. That opened
People
my
play
eyes
with a
to something.
fullback still. Like, yeah.
Hey man, let me tell you something.
I
you're- if
remember
you're fourth and two-
very well Moose pulling and knocking people out of the hole. So
Wait. Who was the fullback they drafted? Because I got a tackle, tight end, a linebacker, a defensive end, a tackle, a cornerback, a running back, and a wide receiver. And you're not telling me Deuce Vaughn is the fullback.
Hunter Lupke. I don't know how to say his fucking name.
Must be a UDFA because he's not in the draft pick.
I mean,
numbers.
bottom line, you're
Yeah.
running with a fullback now, which is cray. But do you, in the modern game, does it help you?
Yes, why not? Listen, how many situations are you going to get yourself into where it's 4th and 2? Happens all the time, or even 4th and 1, man. To me, if you're Philly, yeah, you're going to run your quarterback, but a lot of teams aren't running their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So on a 4th and 1 situation, you put a big old dude. I'll tell you, I'll run I formation on a 4th and 1, 4th and 2 all day long. I do it all the time.
But you think having that fullback in the background just keys everybody that, hey, it's a run?
Not always. Look at who else? Doesn't San Fran use a fullback? There's a few teams that use a fullback that run them pretty well. Sometimes they think it's a run and they do a little swing pass to him and he ends up scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, San Fran does use a fullback in Jusic, but the difference is that guy actually can catch the ball.
Yeah, he's a running back that's just a little slow.
Okay. All right. Well, do your research on Lukey. And look who they're comparing him to.
I mean, yeah, if you get a use check, that's wonderful.
That's who they're comparing him to. I mean, we'll see. To me, again, big surprise that they drafted a fullback, and I think that comes to or leads to me or points to the direction of what they're changing their offense to or what they're going to include now, right? I think they will bring out a big old fullback because look, Pollard is not Zeke, bro. Zeke can break through tackles and he's a bigger body. Pollard needs a fullback blocking for him, in my opinion.
But I don't know that the Kellen Moore or the Schotten, I forgot his first name, the Schottenheimer Brian Schottenheimer pickup is a terrible move because I remember watching the game I watched was the Cowboys and the Jags, and they gave that game away all they had to do was run the ball down our throats. Like, that was the end of the game. At the end of the game, they got cute. They threw a pass. It was a weird pass. It got tipped. It wasn't really Dak's fault. We picked it off, pick 6, game over. They were
the worst.
They were 40, like at the 40, and they were running at will. We couldn't stop them at all. Like, you're just bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, wow, if you guys kept this up, you're just exhausting teams, right? Because that's the running game. You exhaust teams by the 4th, and it doesn't matter anymore. And I was seeing that with your offensive line. And I think maybe you throw the fullback in there and you just like, we're going to beat teams down. You still can take your big shots, the whole Al Davis, throw deep, once out of 5 plays, see if you hit a home run.
Kellen Moore got cute, right? I'm glad Moore's gone, to be honest, man. I haven't been a fan of his for the last couple of years. I don't agree with our new OC. I'm scratching my head. It's, again, you went from inaccurate to a Taurus, right? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it, but again, right? I mean, everybody gets, I guess it's a second chance. We're going to see.
And Chad, if you have a Taurus, this is not a dig at a Taurus. But you'd rather have a Corvette, right?
It's just very solid and very bland.
Yes.
Exactly. Thus the fullback. Think about it. Solid,
I mean,
bland, reliable fullback.
Now the problem is you're going to end up 4th and 5 instead of 4th and 2, and you won't be able to run on 4th and 5. So
let's hope that's not the problem. But yeah, you're right, because they didn't address the O-line, they didn't address other stuff. So you're right. We might just end up, 4th and 7, and all right, we're punting, and hey, Pro Bowl punter.
Right.
So let's move on from the Cowboys before I burst into tears.
By the way, Wardy, Angered Unicorn's one of my buddies, so he actually played with us during early New World days.
So I made an oopsie on mine. Mine are backwards. So the Giants are next on mine, and I just typed it wrong. And the Redskin, or the former Redskins, the now Commanders are next, are dead last. So I have them just transposed.
So your Commanders are 5 and 12.
Correct.
Oh, so we're pretty. All of us are. I think we're pretty even on the Cowboys, even I mean on the Giants. My bad.
Yeah, I looked at that. I was like, that's not right.
So we're skipping over the Commanders, right?
No, we can't skip over the Commanders.
Oh,
well, before we move on from the Cowboys, any fantasy relevance here?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, as far as Pollard, obviously he's still going to get your touchdowns. I would still put Pollard on my roster, hands down. You would still put CeeDee Lamb on your roster, would you not?
Yes, but the question is, where am I drafting him? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is where I get him. If I get him in the 2nd or 3rd, heck yeah, I love it.
I'm not first rounding Lamb. I don't think anybody would. I don't think there's any first round draft pick on the Cowboys right now, to be honest. I think people are going to jump early at Pollard.
Cowboys defense.
I hope they jump early at Pollard. Cool. I want to be in that draft where they jump early at Pollard. I would take Pollard 3rd, 4th round, maybe. CeeDee Lamb, even 2nd round would be hard for me with CeeDee Lamb, just based on what I've told you, right? The O-line, again, Dak Prescott. I don't see any first rounders on that roster unless, again, they get D-Hops. Then I would take D-Hops early, not first round, obviously, but I would take D-Hops.
I would take him in the first round. Just, I mean, if I took him with Kyler Murray, and I took him late though because he was suspended.
First round though?
Probably 2nd round. Really late first round, 2nd round.
The game has changed in fantasy football, but I'm not going to give away my strategy, so.
We'll just especially not with all 3 of us playing in a big.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yep. But yeah, it's changed. I fantasy relevance, still to stick to the subject. I don't see anything huge in the Cowboys. Tony Pollard is the only one that I really see. And Dak is good for points, but I'm telling you, man, the defense is going to keep this team in the games. Dak's going to do enough to score enough points to win, but they're going to struggle this season offensively, I think. And that's again, you look at the new OC. You look at the fact that they really didn't. To me, Cooks wasn't a great addition. I could be wrong, man. Maybe if he's Cooks of old, awesome, right? If he can play like
If he's on the
plays,
PEDs again, yeah, he'll be awesome. But
yeah,
he's
exactly,
not.
right? Exactly my point. What did we address? If Dak goes down, who do we have? Cooper Rush and Greer? Come on.
Yeah, Cooper Rush is what, 5-1?
Come on.
Yeah, you're right. But you can say, I mean, name a team who can lose a starting quarterback other than the 49ers,
True.
who apparently have 3. So,
they went through 18 quarterbacks, bro, and still made the NFC championship.
And they'll just come up a little short because the current starting quarterback's arm gets ripped off in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
So that was terrible.
Like, and you're right. You're 100% right on that. But let me tell you, I just didn't see enough from the Cowboys in the draft to say, ooh, defensively, yeah, I think again oversaw that. But offensively, there is nobody fantasy relevant to me other than Tony Pollard, and that's like second round or less.
Okay, let's move on before you start crying. All right, so let's talk about the Giants because I think they're everyone's third, other than my transposure, which if Striker you can fix that. So I had the Giants 8-9, and mostly because I don't believe in Daniel Jones. So they re-signed Daniel Jones to a bunch of money. They re-signed Barkley. They've got really Paris Campbell, who got tired of not getting thrown to by whatever Colts quarterback there was. Jamison Crowder. Nothing really else. They drafted a quarterback, a center, wide receiver, and another running back. The roster depth chart is Daniel Jones, Campbell, Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, Darren Waller from the Raiders, Barkley, who's great. Their line was crap. It was one of the worst lines in the league, and their defense was above average. So, it comes down to Daniel Jones. Do you believe in Daniel Jones? No. Like, he did enough to get that contract, and I think they're going to regret it immediately. On top of that, who's he throwing to? Like, they don't have a 2, let alone a 1.
Yeah, they do.
Who do you think's the 1?
I think they got a rookie in the 3rd round that's going to be pretty special. Jalen Hyatt.
Hyatt, yeah.
But no
rookie,
3rd round rookie wide receiver comes in and tears up the league. Like, it just doesn't happen. Now, first rounders do, like Jefferson.
Well, but define tears up the league. If he's a top 20 wide receiver, I mean, that's a win right there, and I think he could easily be in the top 20.
So you're saying that the Giants are going to be massively better if they have an 800-yard wide receiver, Paris Campbell and Slayton on top of that? No.
That's not the argument I was making. What I was saying is that they do have a wide receiver that's halfway decent. Is he going to be enough? No.
Correct.
Well, for me, the main concern there is, okay, Daniel Jones, do we believe in him? 50-50, right? Who's going to win half your games? Maybe. The other problem is Saquon Barkley, right? What? There's a story with him right now, right? Something's going on with Barkley. He's holding out or something.
Yep.
Whatever. Yeah. So you're gonna open up. If Barkley ain't opening up, you open up with Matt Breida.
Well, I thought they resigned. They just resigned Barkley, so I don't think that's the case. I hadn't heard that. Who knows? We got 2 more months for that to
We gotta look at it.
Nope, he has not re-signed. At least there's nothing on his player page about re-signing. So
yeah,
they did franchise tag him.
But he didn't sign the tag. But he didn't sign the tag. Yeah.
So there's going to be some animosity about that because, he's a running back and he wants to get paid and blah, blah, blah. I go out and I blow up my knee and I'm going to get, $25 million.
Okay, well, do you believe in Daniel Jones enough without Barkley?
I don't believe in Daniel Jones with Barkley.
They did pick up Darren Waller. Great tight end, in my opinion.
Great tight end. And he's going to be like, oh, my God, I went from this guy makes Derek Carr look like a top 5 quarterback.
Exactly. But, hey, man, kid can use his feet just like every other quarterback in the NFL nowadays, I guess. He does have Jalen Hyatt, but, again, rookie wide receiver. And, again, Daniel Jones seems to be a run-first quarterback, throw-later kind of guy. I don't see anything in the Giants that tells me, these guys are going to have a great season. Again, that's why I have them at, I have them 8-9. They're going to win half the games.
I'm actually surprised you guys had them that high, to be honest with you. I didn't see anything that said they can win that many games.
Well, it's because they've got a 3rd, 4th place schedule, right? They're like, oh wow, they're beating up, the Texans. you know,
The Raiders.
yeah,
I mean,
without Derek Carr, and Darren Waller. So
Two of their
Yeah, but,
games are against Washington Commanders, so there's 2 wins.
correct.
okay.
Green Bay Packers with Love, and still have
That's
running backs, but not sold.
That's late in the season, though. I mean, if it was early in the season, Love, I might question, but late in the season, Love, I think they were happy to move on from Rodgers, but we can talk about that.
They were totally happy to move on from Rodgers. We all know that. But the question is, did you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, or did you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love?
To Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings.
Looking at the schedule, I think, man, maybe I did miss some. Striker might be right. I mean, they've got Cowboys, loss. Cardinals, probably a win. 49ers, loss. Uh-oh, somebody's at the camera.
Someone is at the camera.
Seattle Seahawks, they're going to lose. Dolphins, probably lose. Dolphins I have on the fence. Maybe win, maybe lose. So I'm pretty sure I count that as a win.
I think I had
Buffalo's
the Dolphins as a loss and the Seahawks as a win.
Washington's a win. Jets, that's a tough one. I don't see Aaron Rodgers doing great, and I think they might beat Aaron Rodgers, but the Cowboys are definitely going to lose against them. The Raiders win. Cowboys loss. Commanders win. Patriots, I had that on the half and half and gave them the win.
Yep.
Packers is a win for me. Saints is a win for me. Philly's a loss, and the Rams was a win. So there you go.
It's right down the middle, right? Like
8-9.
Yeah. Now,
So, yeah, I mean,
could it go south by 4 games? Absolutely. Could it go north by 4 games? Absolutely. You know, if you get the ball bouncing right, who the hell? I mean, they're not terrible, but again, you put a lot of money to Daniel Jones, and nothing. He's like, sit back in the pocket and let Daniel Jones beat me. I will live with that every single game.
who's the last great quarterback the Giants had?
Phil Simms.
I mean, Eli won a Super Bowl, but
Yeah, but Eli didn't win the Super Bowl. That team won the Super Bowl. Eli just happened to be a quarterback.
exactly. Eli's, Peyton's little brother.
You know what? I speaking of Eli, I always believed that Peyton was too uptight, and when he got to the playoffs, he choked. Eli was not as studious as Peyton, and more laid back. But when he got to the playoffs, he shined. Let's face it, the most famous play was him throwing a dude's helmet on 4th and forever, right? Like,
Right.
but just if you watch that play, you don't see Eli get out of it. He's sacked. Like, he should be sacked before that play ever got thrown off. And then he happens to throw it up, and the guy catches on his helmet to never again catch a pass in the NFL. Like, an amazing story. But Peyton would stress and want everything meticulous, and when he got to the playoffs, he fell apart. And Eli was like, I'm not supposed to be here anyhow. I'm Peyton's little brother. So I think I don't put Eli in the great category, but I do put him in the great in the playoffs category, because he's like, I don't care. He just had a perfect attitude for the city and the postseason with those Giants teams. And he wasn't a bad quarterback. Let's put he had he was not a bad quarterback.
And you're right about going south by 4 games. If Barkley don't play this season, the Giants might have the same record as the Redskins or Commanders, whatever we call them now.
See, I see them as an 8-9 as a top end. I see 6-11 as more realistic for them, just because I think they're gonna have, of those 4 games that could go either way, I think they're gonna come out 2-2 on it. So I don't see how they get more than 8 wins. Period. I just don't see getting 8 wins given the NFL.
Hello, Grandma. Shout out. Having football talks. Okay, so everybody's got their. We are amazingly consistent, and you guys either cheated off me and I'm the smartest guy in the world, or you just came to the conclusions that I'm right. So I'm going to go with the latter.
Before we move on from the Giants, go ahead.
No, I was just patting my own.
I thought you were getting ready to move on. I was going to say, before we move on, let's do fantasy relevance on him.
Waller Barkley.
Pretty much. Barkley, to me, 2nd round. Waller.
Depends, right? Like, if they give him a contract and he's happy, probably not. Depends on how that works out.
If he has to play out the tag and looking for a new contract, he's going to have a season. If he stays healthy.
if he shows up, right? Like that's if they gave him a tag and he's got to play on it and he shows up and plays on it, oh yeah.
End of the day, what choice is he gonna have?
You can always sit out. I mean, you know how they do. They sit out and they sit out like 2 or 3 games and try to get someone to trade him and stuff like that. I mean, there's options.
It's dangerous
So
choice to sit out.
There are a couple of late round flyers I take, and one of them's Eric Gray, the draft pick out of Oklahoma. Kid's not like amazing, but he's solid and he's got hands catching out of the backfield in today's NFL. That is a winner right there. He may not do much until late in the season, but Barkley doesn't play or whatever. That kid's get a lot more value real quick.
Jesus, he's 5'9".
And he's not as fast as Hill. He's also 4 inches taller than Kyler Murray.
I was waiting for that one.
5'9". Barkley is 6 foot tall. 5'9".
And so on fantasy relevance to me, we're talking about players that are top tier players. I guess at some point we also need to talk about like players you should take, in your 15th round, because there's I take flyers. They never work out, but I'm always like, sure, I'll take this guy, and it's always the wrong one. Which I loved Ripper's strategy last year of taking all the Bills running backs and then dropping the one that actually was going to work out.
Hey, what league? Because I was in
you did win. So and you won all of them. So damn it, we got in the playoffs on all of them, and I got beat by you in one, and not even got to you in one.
Just saying.
Oh,
don't hate on my strategy. Don't hate. Picking all the Bills is a luck thing.
But you were a runner-up in that league, right?
The money league with Cowboy, yes.
Yeah.
I won the extended league, didn't I? I don't remember.
I don't either. I think you. Yeah, you beat me.
There you go.
So
hold on, going to look.
No, he beat me.
I have to sign in to look, but yeah, I'm gonna go with I beat you.
Although I did get $100 the last week because I had that Bills fiasco. Yeah, the money league, because I had the highest score that the championship week. And
I got offered a split pot, and I took it.
And it didn't matter. Okay. So next up, everyone's favorite DC team.
Oh boy.
The Commanders signed Darren Payne, our favorite barbecue, Jacoby Brisket, Andrew Wiley, Nick Gates. So lots of linemen. They lost a linebacker, Holcomb. They lost Tyler Henneke. They lost offensive guard, Schwelzer. Bobby McCarron at safety, who was actually okay. They picked up a cornerback, a safety, cornerback, an offensive lineman. So,
yeah,
a lot of bit pieces in the back. They got Sam Howell starting at quarterback. They got Dotson, McLaren, Curtis Samuels, Logan Thomas, the tight end, and the Bullet Boy, right? Brian Robinson was the Bullet Boy last year.
Sure. Oh yes.
Bullet in the buttocks.
In the buttocks. Yes.
Which was one of your fantasy relevant sleepers last year, and then he got shot in the butt, and then so their line was terrible, which is probably why they imported in a bunch of people. Their defense was really good, so their defense was actually one of the top in the league. So to me, it comes down to the quarterback, right? Like, and I don't know much about this guy. If he comes out and he's the second coming, and I go back to, hey, it's a rookie. Peyton Manning went 3-13 his rookie year, so I don't have a lot of faith in rookies. I kind of went to the Bill Parcells school on that. But they've got skill positions. Now they're a little older, but McLaren is good. Samuels is good. Robinson, if he's not getting shot, is decent. It's a good running back by committee. But I don't see the court. I mean, this is going to be his rookie year. I think 5 is giving him credit. He might be much worse than this. So I just kind of took the average there.
I think that they still have a pretty good offense in McLaurin, Dotson, Curtis Samuel. Those three receivers aren't bad at all.
No.
They had some fantasy relevance last season. Quarterback is where running back. Let's just skip the running backs. You're right. Brian Robinson looked a little bit better last year. I think it took him a while, right? He got shot in the buttocks.
Yeah, that is a vital muscle when you're trying to run the ball.
There you go. I think second half season he shined a little bit more, and I think he'll do great this season as well. I just don't think it's enough, right? Your running back, your receivers are all great, but your quarterback situation is what's going to kill you. And Sam Howell or Jacoby Brisket, honestly, that's where the big question mark is. And if you don't have a quarterback and you're playing the old musical chair where the quarterbacks are, spinning around, this quarterback's going to do this week, this one this week, who's going to be the best? If you've got that problem, you might be in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the receivers you can throw to, but consistency, all that good stuff with the quarterback can really play problems or whatever. I don't know what word I was looking for there, but it could really play a problem for you. Defensively, were they that great last season?
Yeah,
I mean,
they were.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, it is, but let's. This is what I mean. Crystal Ball says they're going to start Brisket, right? Same as in Cleveland, like they started off with him because they had no choice, right? He's going to end up on his back. That line's just not good, and plus he's learning a new offense with new skill players. Like that takes time, and yes, he's a vet. I've never been super impressed with him. I was actually more impressed with him in the Cleveland than I've been at any point anywhere else. Like he looked terrible in Indy. But is Brisket enough? And I don't. I think he's going to end up on his back a lot. And that of course leads to errant throws and bad things like that.
For me, it's enough to win 7 games, to be honest. Again, I honestly look at Washington as the Denver Broncos of the NFC East. Their defense, again, I think they were okay last season. I know you all think they're way better, and that's great. And if they are that good, again, the defense will keep them in every game. It's the offense that'll kill them in the end.
Yeah. And then the defense will kill the offense at some point, right?
Right.
Don't we have a meme of the Denver Broncos chasing Russell Wilson out of the stadium?
And that's pretty sad, man. I think that the Commanders should have addressed the quarterback situation. You've got the receivers, you've got the running back. Why wouldn't you have gone out and got you a great quarterback? Maybe they believe in Jacoby Brisket that much, and he didn't look too bad, right, last year. So
he surprised us. I mean, he looked competent.
Yeah,
but I mean, who was out there? Like that's the other part of it. There wasn't. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was about the only big free agent out there, and I mean,
Aaron Rodgers.
Well, it's not going to be a QB1 Jake Fromm that's going to take him to the promised land. That's for sure. I don't know who's out there.
Well, yeah, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to say they should have gone out and helped the quarterback situation, I just don't see how they could. There just wasn't anybody out there that was, because that's not how the NFL works anymore.
Well, there was, I don't know if there was better than Brissett, to be honest, but I mean, what's his name from the Raiders was available.
Well, I mean, they could have traded up. They could have. I mean, they picked 16th. They could have traded up and gotten.
Who's their first pick?
Emmanuel Forbes, a cornerback out of Mississippi State. They didn't draft an offensive player. They draft the center out of Arkansas with their third round pick, and then a running back with their 7th or 6th round pick.
See, they really again, defense wins championships. They're like, you know what? We're just going to stop everybody from scoring, and we'll just kick field goals.
we will run with Bullet Man because we will have a gun on the sideline, and you will see it, and you will run faster.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, so let's look at the 2022-23 free agents for quarterback: Carr and Garoppolo, Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Mariota, Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew. I mean, like,
yeah, but they could have drafted better.
Like 16... I mean, I'm just saying, at the 16th overall pick, there's not a lot of the way the quarterbacks went off the board this year.
Where did old man Georgia go?
That's a good question. I know he was still there at 16.
Because that would have been a guy. I mean, if you're hurting for a quarterback, I know he's older, but he's experienced. I think the guy. I honestly think he's going to come into the NFL and do pretty well, in my opinion. But I guess we'll see.
Chris Winkie 2.0. I got fantasy
Bennett
relevance,
went
all the
128.
wideouts, the tight end as a flyer, and I didn't pick a running back because I think they're going to split carries too much.
Probably. Although I think Robinson gets more of the carries, but yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I don't know about Chris Rodriguez. I don't know much about him, but that's who they drafted. Where did they draft him? The 6th round?
Yeah,
Put it out
late.
there. Yeah. That's a flyer. That's like, let's take that guy.
Yep.
But yeah, I just don't believe in the Washington Redskins very much. I don't think they're going to do great. I don't think they have them as bad either. I mean, 7-10 is not completely, dead in the water. It's better than some of the AFC teams, but they're going to win some games based on, again, like you said, the defense and their wideouts. Man, if Brisket's not bad. If he can really start throwing to those wideouts and the run game becomes like a second issue, then maybe. But 7-10 is where I've got your Commanders. You're right. Fantasy relevance, all the wideouts. But if they don't have a quarterback throwing to them,
well, and does he look the same as he did in Cleveland? That's like, I think if he looked the same in Cleveland, he might make some waves. Like maybe they'll win. Again, I got 5 wins. I could see him winning a couple more games. Like if the offense is competent, they might even surprise. You've always got one team that surprises a little bit, but I feel that quarterback is not settled.
Yeah. See.
And do you guys think that they're? I mean, we can look at teams and go, yeah, the number of things that have to happen for this team to win the Super Bowl are, 31 other teams getting a plane crash. Like that's the route. Like, do you think that there's teams like the Redskins are like, or the Commanders are like, yeah, we're not trading. We just don't have enough pieces. Even if we get a quarterback, he's gonna die behind this line, right?
Well, one of the other things that changed in the Commanders was the ownership too, right?
Well, there is no owner.
It hasn't officially happened yet, but yeah, the deal is like 95% done.
So what group bought it?
So
Jay-Z
maybe Dan Snyder's
Johnson?
like, I don't
Josh
care.
Harris. Guy by the name of Josh Harris, who's an equity investor.
Nice.
So Snyder's had it, what, 20 years? 25 years, right? And he talked mad smack about winning the championship when he first got there. Remember when he signed like Sanders? So yeah, that was not a good run for the Commanders.
Harris was part of the Magic Johnson group.
Nice.
Well, in that case, 8 wins. They got Magic. Just kidding.
So I think the other thing that helps though is that Harris is a Redskin fan by birth. Like, the dude was born in Chevy Chase, Maryland, which is just right outside where the stadium is. And, like, the dude is much more of a, I want the team to be good, but I'm not going to meddle in it like Snyder was. Because Snyder was all about making profit, nothing but making profit.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the most loyal fan base I've ever seen?
It's
the Redskins
them.
fans are, yeah. Like, I have never seen. I lived in DC for a few years, and I've never seen a more loyal fan base than Washington.
My understanding is the season ticket situation there is there are people on waiting lists for like 30, 40 years, and they'll literally die on the waiting list, and that will get passed down to their children, who will then stay on the waiting list and then finally get season tickets. That's how rabid. And now obviously they haven't had a run of success in a while, so to have that kind of pull is amazing. In other news, you can get Jaguar season tickets for $100.
All right, then.
So
Washington's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I don't think they're any better than the Giants. I don't think they're any worse than the Giants. I think both teams aren't going to have good years, and I think both teams are unfortunately more than one piece away. And
Well-
going back to the quarterback thing, Will Levis went early in the second, so he was available. Hendon Hooker. I mean, there were names out there that I would have taken over Sam Howell.
There's definitely names out there that would have helped him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, and then the question goes is when are they going to, are they going to be trying to get him? Because, again, at some point in the season, you go, we're where we're at, and it's not working with Brisket. When do we throw this other guy out? And that's when things go real south. So, not a good year for them.
what's it told? Alrighty then. Fantasy relevance, we already went to that. Looks good. I mean, short, sweet.
Yep.
NFC East.
Awesome.
All your all's picks are records are relevant. Mine are probably going to be
So
correct.
seriously though, let's look at the records real quick. So we have two of us have Dallas at 12-5. You have it at I have them at 13-4. You guys both have them at 12-5. So we're there, right? Philly, we've got the most difference, 2 at 11-6, and then one at 13-4. Washington, Rip, and it goes Rip, then Strike, and then me with 7-6-5. And then the Giants 8-9, and then Striker thinks they're going to tank at 6-11. You really don't like Daniel Jones. I don't even like Daniel Jones, and I think you like him less than I do. So we're really grouped, and that's kind of neat. So any saved rounds?
Not related to football, but the Iron Sheik has passed away.
Oh no, the
if
wrestler.
You remember him from the wrestler? Yeah.
Oh.
I just saw that on Twitter.
Rip, Mr.
What
Iron.
What happened? I missed it.
You remember the Iron Sheik?
Yeah.
The wrestler.
Old
yeah,
school wrestler.
He just passed away. He was 81
man.
years old.
That's my youth wrestling right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Iron Sheik, Hulk, all those guys.
Sergeant Slaughter.
It's hard to realize, like,
Jimmy Fly, Snuka.
Those guys are way old now, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, the dude's 80. The dude was 81.
Nice.
I wonder when they stopped wrestling. Like, when did Hulk stop wrestling?
I think he still does appearances every now and then, right?
I think he does appearances, but I don't think he gets in a ring anymore, right?
I don't know. He's
Yeah, but he's like
2
100
years old.
Yeah.
They said 2012 is what Wikipedia has when he stopped being a wrestler.
So how old was he then? 60, 50?
He's 69 now, so
59.
Would've
Jeez, I'm not getting in the ring. So
I mean, we're just gonna say some vitamin T helps a little bit there.
oh yeah, I guess. I don't know. There's enough in the world to get me at this point. All right, guys. So we're done for the night. We'll get the next division next week, which will be
Nice.
What are we gonna do?
Pick one.
Geographically, we go east-west.
Sure, why not?
All right, then.
So are we going NFC West next, or
Yeah, Strikers home division.
Nice.
All right, guys.
and Harley's too?
That's right. She likes the little people.
The
I think
one who
she
usually
doesn't
runs
like the
40s.
little people. I think she likes the cards, and I know she didn't like Kingsbury.
I'm gonna put her as a Kyler Murray fan, and we'll call it good.
There you go.
Oh,
She likes little people with little peoples.
she's a blue gem, purple cobra with the Lilliputian leader.
There you go.
All right, guys. I'm
Alrighty.
gonna close it out now. All right.
It was fun. See you next week.
Give me a second. I'll be right back.